All right, welcome to Pro Football's first 50 years, where we take the past and we bring it back to life. Now, you can go online, and I'm strictly talking the first 50 years from 1920 to 1970. And especially if you're going back to the 20s and maybe like the 30s. I mean, you can go online and you can figure out who won a game, obviously who lost, what the box score was, maybe who scored a touchdown, who kicked the field goal, how far the field goal was. How many people were in attendance, what stadium the game was at. You might even be able to find the starting lineups for each team. But exactly what happened during the game? Well, thanks to old newspaper articles, we get to take a little bit of a deeper dive into each and every game during the first 50 years of professional football. Now, a little news flash here for you. Ain't no fancy videos here or nothing like that. All there is you and me for the next 30 to 60 minutes. So if that's all right with you, let's get it on. And today's game is going to be Vince Lombardi's first loss in the NFL. He lost a couple games, obviously, 2 during the preseason, in which they had 6 preseason games. 6 preseason games, 12 regular season games. There were 2 teams during 1959 season actually played 7 preseason games and 12 regular season games. Unbelievable. But the Packers, this is October 18th, 1959, the Los Angeles Rams would visit County Stadium in Milwaukee, where the Packers played a couple games each year. We'll read a little bit more about that up until 1994. Then after 1994, it was all Lambeau Field. But the Packers started off the season 3-0. And interestingly enough, they were the only team after 3 weeks that was still undefeated. It was a 12-team league. And very interesting, after the first 2 weeks, there was only 2 teams left in this 1959 season that was undefeated. So after 3 weeks, the Packers were 3-0. And this would be Vince Lombardi's first loss. The Rams, it's rather shocking because the Rams were Rams had some good players, had a good coach, but they wound up being, especially record-wise, the worst in the NFL in 1959. They only won 2 games. This would be one of them. They didn't win a game at home. I mean, they were just not a very good team. The Packers were 3-0. The Rams would wind up being the worst team in the league. The Packers were at home. This would be their 4th straight home game. Because what I understand, what I heard, the Packers tried to play their home games early because it got cold in Green Bay. And usually, toward the end of the season, they started playing all their games away where it was warmer at. And usually the last 2 games of the season for the Packers were on the West Coast playing against the 49ers and the Rams. But with this particular game here, it was, if I remember reading part of the newspaper article here, Paul Hornung kicked the field goal at the end of the first half to make it 14-6. Rams were up 14-6. But after it was all downhill after that, the Rams scored 31 points. If my math is correct, which it usually isn't, the Rams scored 31 points in the second half. The Packers couldn't dent the scoreboard at all, and they got trounced 45-6. I mean, what a drubbing! I mean, there was, the Packers were riding high, and after this, pour them back down to earth. Now let's go over the Packers and the Rams schedule. Now with the Packers, they were it was streaks. They won a bunch, then they lost like 5 in a row, then they finished the season strong, winning in the Final 4. I'll show you in their schedule here. Then I'll go over the Rams schedule and just show you. They were not a good team. So the Packers, if we look here, right, Now, this would be including, obviously, this first streak I'm talking about would include a couple games in the exhibition season. But they beat the Redskins. These two are exhibition games here, the Redskins and the Steelers. Then they beat the Bears, the Lions, and the 49ers. So they won 5 games in a row. The week prior, the only 2 undefeated teams were the 49ers and the Packers. They played in City Stadium, which is now Lambeau Field. But it was a good game. It was 21-20, real close game. So after this game here, the Packers were 3-0, the only undefeated team in the NFL in 1959. So they had won 5 games in a row. Hey, what's up, buddy? Then, with this game here, they're 45-6. Woo! They would lose 5 games in a row. So they went from 3-0 to 3-5. But Vince Lombardi got this ship righted, and they would win their final 4 games. One of the big things, so I'm just thinking, is that the Packers going into exhibition had 4 quarterbacks. And reading some of these articles, Vince Lombardi had no idea who the starting quarterback was going to be. Some guy by the name of Bart Starr, maybe you heard him, was one of the 4 quarterbacks, but he did not start the season for him. He would go in and he would put the ball down like for extra points and field goals, but he was not the starting quarterback. Lamar McCann, yes, that pro football Hall of Famer himself, Lamar McCann, was the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers and Vince Lombardi for the first 7 games of the season. Now, after they started, I guess, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went to, they had lost. Let's see. Then they lost what, 1, 2. They lost 3. I guess they lost 3 or 4 games or so. They lost 4 games in a row. And Vince Lombardi, I guess, pulled the plug on Lamar McCann, which we haven't got to that part of the season yet. But Bart Starr started the final 5 games of the season. And I guess, as they say, the rest is history. But I mean, this game here was, the Rams were not a horrible defense. They just didn't score a lot of points this particular season here. Oh, let's right here. As we see right here. All right, see the Rams had 2 wins. See, the Packers were 7-5, right? I mean, the Rams scored a decent amount of points, especially compared to some of the other teams. I mean, not compared to the Colts, who wound up winning the championship, 1959, 31-16, but compared to all the other teams, right? 250 for the Bears. The Packers scored 248, 255. The Lions didn't score hardly at all. 242. A lot of teams up here in the Eastern Conference scored. Even the Giants, who had the best record overall, only scored 284 points. And the Rams scored some points. The problem was their defense was not very good. Now, they did not have, wasn't quite the fearsome foursome yet. Lamar Lundy was the only one around. So they had a quarter of the fearsome foursome. Deacon Jones didn't come around till 1961. Merlin Olsen didn't come around till 1962. And the Rams didn't get Rosie Greer from the Giants until 1963. So they had to wait till the 60s to start forming that fearsome foursome. But they had some good players. They did, and they had a very good coach. Sid Gilman. Very, very good coach. But as you'll notice here, I mean, they didn't do too bad in preseason. What were they? What do they got here? 3. They were 1-3, 3-2-1. So they tied the Lions. This is all exhibition here. They lost to the Redskins. They beat the Cardinals. They lost to the Browns, and then they beat the 49ers and the Eagles. And you see, I mean, they're scoring some points. They're putting up some points. It was only against the Lions and the 49ers. They didn't really put up anything, but they put up some points. It's just their defense. 45, 38, 35, 23, 23, 24, 26, 34, 23, 20. I mean, a lot of points to be given up, especially back then, And as I said, so they actually, interestingly, though, they won back-to-back games. So they were, they were actually 2-2 at one point, and then they lost their final 8 games of the season. So they were 2-2. Actually, they were only 1 game out of first place after 4 weeks. Packers were 3-1. There were some other teams that were all 2-2. And then they wound up losing the final 8 games. It all fell apart. I mean, a bunch of close games. They lost 26-21, 24-16, 23-17, 23-20. Then I guess they once everything was all over with, and they got blown away by beat the Colts. They lost to the Packers, and they lost to the Colts again. So, but rather shocking. It was an eye opener for Vince Lombardi. He just went to show you, he's got some work to do. But let's go over County Stadium. It was interesting because the Packers played. It was a bit weird. I mean, they played. Now they were playing at this particular point in time, 1959, and up until 1960, 12 games. So obviously, 6 home, 6 on the road, and that wasn't until 1961 when they started playing 14 games, so 7 and 7. But what they were doing was out of their 6 games, 2 of them were in Milwaukee. The other 4 were in Green Bay. It's not very common. Usually, when team play has one play, like I'm a Giant fan. I'm from New York. Right, so the Giants in 1959 were playing at Yankee Stadium. There's 6 regular season games, home games were at Yankee Stadium. They didn't play 2 at Shea Stadium, 2 at the Polo Grounds, and 2 at Yankee. It was all at Yankee Stadium, but not the Packers. So, all right, let's see. Share screen. We're going to go over Milwaukee County Stadium on Wikipedia. This is all just straight Wikipedia right here. So we got Milwaukee County Stadium was a multi-purpose stadium in Milwaukee. Obviously, baseball and football. And of course, me growing up as a kid, it was the Milwaukee Brewers. That's what I know for the most part. But actually, it was primary, a little before my time was I was born in 64. So the first couple years, I was alive, the Milwaukee Braves played there. But, once I started watching and following baseball, the Braves weren't in Milwaukee. They were in Atlanta. But, construction. It was originally built as a home for the Milwaukee Brewers of the minor league American Association, replacing the outdated and deteriorating Borchert Field. And also Borchert Field, the Packers actually played at Borchert Field. All right. Several locations around the city, including Wisconsin State Fair Park and West Allis, were considered before the city settled on the defunct site of the Story Quarry on the west side of Milwaukee near the Story Hill neighborhood. County Stadium was the first ballpark in the United States financed with public funds. There you go. Construction began in October 1950 and it was hampered by steel shortages during the Korean War. It was completed in 1953. Construction cost $5.9 million, with the bonds paid off in 1964. The city of Milwaukee also hoped to use the new facility to attract a Major League Baseball franchise. When it opened in 1953, it had 28,111 permanent seats and could hold up to 36,011 people. After an expansion 1 year later, the seating capacity was increased to 43,394. Subsequent expansions raised the baseball capacity to over 53,000. So you had the Milwaukee Braves were there until 65. Oops. Apparently the White Sox played there. This is a picture of County Stadium right over here in September 1960. The end of the baseball season in 1960. I guess I'm imagining. I guess maybe that's for a Braves game. I guess the White Sox, I guess, played there for 2 seasons. Then the Brewers in 1970. I started watching baseball probably around 1970, 71, from what I can remember, and it's where the Brewers were there. And there were many notable games there. We got the Packers. Here we go. The National Football League's Green Bay Packers played 2 to 4 home games per year at Milwaukee County Stadium from 1953 to 1994. Well, this one particular year, they played 2 home games there, Milwaukee. After using Wisconsin State Fair Park in nearby West Allis from 1934 to 1951 and Marquette Stadium in 1952. The Packers compiled a 6-15 regular season winning record at County Stadium over 42 years. Wow. County Stadium was partly responsible for Lambeau Field's existence. When it was originally built, it was not only intended to lure an MLB team to Milwaukee, but also to lure the Packers to Milwaukee full time. As originally constructed, County Stadium was double the size of Packers' then home City Stadium. So that's why they made it was out of steel. I believe City Stadium was made out of wood, and the seating capacity was much larger, and it was obviously a more new, modern facility. Something that the other NFL owners didn't like about City Stadium was smaller. It was not a good place to, especially if you were a visiting team. You had to get dressed at your hotel and come to the ballpark. It was not a good place to play football. So the NFL owners put a lot of pressure on the Packers to build get a different stadium, especially in Green Bay, to replace the original City Stadium, and they did. They built the new City Stadium, which in 1965 became Lambeau Field. As originally constructed, County Stadium was double the size of the Packers' then home City Stadium. By the 1950s, the Packers were under growing pressure to find a replacement for City Stadium, as it could not be expanded, and its amenities for fans and players had long since fallen below NFL standards. With a growing number of teams letting it be known that they would not play at City Stadium, the NFL told the Packers to build a bigger stadium or move to Milwaukee full time. Green Bay responded with a referendum that resulted in a new City Stadium, which opened in September 1957. After 8 seasons, the venue was renamed Lambeau Field shortly after the death of team founder Curly Lambeau in 1965. The Packers had the one playoff game. They beat the Rams there 28-7 in the Western Conference championship game. All right. Attempted AFL franchise. Following the unsuccessful effort to lure the Packers to Milwaukee in 1965, city officials tried to lure an American Football League expansion team to play in County Stadium. However, Packer head coach and general manager Vince Lombardi invoked the team's exclusive lease to effectively lock out a potential AFL team from the facility. Wow. As well as sign an extension to keep some home games in Milwaukee until 1976. Lombardi even went as far as to veto a proposed 1967 AFL exhibition game at County Stadium. On paper, no other facility in Milwaukee was suitable even as a temporary site. Nonetheless, city officials still pursued an AFL franchise, possibly to play at Marquette Stadium, but the AFL-NFL merger effectively quashed any chance of Milwaukee landing its own team. And they attempted to get a CFL, a Canadian Football League franchise there. So let me go show you some, obviously some pictures. And there is a very famous, I guess kind of famous photo. Let's see here. All right, we got, here's a nice little aerial overview, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Shows you But you can see here, right, how the back of the end zone here was cut off a little bit, the back corner. See, this one, it looks like there was enough. We got the warning track here, but you can kind of see here, like the back, they want end zone. This portion back here was cut off, but you can see, right, went from third base out to first base, first base, third base out to right field here. So you can see how I was figured. Nice little aerial view here. Nice stadium. All right, what else we got here? Got a few more pictures, and then we'll start reading about the game. There's another one. So you can kind of see here's a little bit better of a shot here. The corner here was cut off. Right. But just a beautiful, nice, very real nice stadium. Beautiful stadium. Especially if it's, I guess it's September or maybe October, but just especially back in the 40s, it got cold. I'm Jersey here, so I'm like in October, it's still nice. It's like like going to the 60s or whatever like that. Not over there, boy, I'll tell you. That's why, once November rolled around, they usually wanted to get the heck out of Dodge and stop playing their game because it just got cold. And I got one more here. There we go. Got some pictures here. Packers at Milwaukee County Stadium. Now here's the one. Here's a couple versions of it. This is the one famous one right here. Story of the final Packer game at Milwaukee Stadium 30 years ago. Brett Favre dove into the end zone. It's right here. And check out the scoreboard here too. The Packers extend. Am I gonna be able to see this? Cool. Wait a minute. Not gonna. There we go. Maybe. Yep. All right. Let's see here. There we go. This is the final game ever played at County Stadium by the Packers. The Packers extend their sincere thanks to our Milwaukee fans for their great loyalty and support over the past 62 years. And you can see here, right? It's 15 seconds to go in the game. It was 3rd down and 1 on the 9-yard line, but there's 15 seconds. So, I don't know if the Packers had any timeouts left or not. That I don't know. Well, you can see Brett Favre, I believe he dropped back the pass. He didn't see nothing, whatever, and he took off and he dove head first. He's flying in the air and he makes it into the end zone for a touchdown. As you can see, there was 15 seconds left to go in the game, and the Packers were down by 3 points. I guess they wanted to. If you got a chance to win it, you win it. But it would have been interesting. As I said, I don't know if they had any timeouts left or not. But so if he got tackled in bounds, chances are I'm thinking if he took off like that, and he realized he was going to get tackled in bounds, chances are maybe they had a timeout or so, in hand. But you can see with 15 seconds left to go, the fans are all up on their feet. A couple people are freaking out, But the final game ever, Brett Favre scores the game-winning touchdown. Really, really cool. Yeah, how cool is that? But you can see, it's just real nice. Look at that beautiful, absolutely beautiful, man. Look at that field. This is me. It's outdoors. It's on the grass. It's in the elements. Right? That's football. None of this absolute freaking garbage, artificial turf, indoors. Absolute to me. I apologize. I'm an old-time fart. Can't stand that crap. Football's supposed to be played outdoors on grass. Nowhere else. This is a black and white overhead view of County Stadium. Obviously, you can see, right? You see the diamond here, right? The baseball diamond. It's like an old view here, right? So just, nice stadium. Nice stadium, but that's what it was. It was, partially built, to lure the Packers there full time, because where the Packers originally started playing, at City Stadium, it only held so many people, and it was, and reading from Wikipedia, they were talking about even like back in the freaking 20s, it was like outdated. As I said, because the opposing team, there was. I don't know if there was a locker room but they had to get dressed at the hotel and then come over to play. Yeah. So it was not a good place. So that's why County Stadium was huge, especially for Milwaukee, especially if they could have lured the Packers there full time. That would have been huge, but it was not meant to be. All right. So let's start off with the game here. I got a couple good articles here. I got my go-to one, especially for the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Press-Gazette does a very good job of covering the Packers here. So I got a good 30 to 40 minutes here, probably just reading. All right. So let's start off here. Let's share the screen, and we'll go over the October 19th, 1959 edition of the Green Bay Press-Gazette. Rams knock Pack from unbeaten ranks 45-6. Now we got one of the just absolute all-time greats. Frickin' Ollie Matson right here. What a beast. What a frickin' beast he was. He was playing for the Rams. Good luck trying to tackle him. Whew. Big Ollie Matson, number 33, left sider, puts his head down like a real Ram and blasts away for 2 yards against the Packers in Milwaukee Sunday. Bill Forrester, Packers linebacker, is putting him down. But I can guarantee you he's taking the brunt of it. I can guarantee you that. Ollie Matson. Whew, man. Other Packers are Dan Curry, Tom Bettis, Bill Quinlan, Ken Beck, and Hank Jordan with hand on Matson's leg. Right there. Could be Henry Jordan, I believe. Rams are John Morrow and Dwayne Putnam. He ripped off 121 yards rushing and 20 carries, including a 49-yard touchdown dash. Rams ended Green Bay's 3-game league winning streak 45-6 before 36,174 in County Stadium. Bays dropped into tie for the Western League. The Packers played their first bad game of the season Sunday. The Rams were at their best. And this would be the final game of the season that the Rams would win. So go figure. The result, the Packers were knocked from the ranks of the unbeaten in no uncertain terms, 45-6 in County Stadium. The second largest crowd ever to see the Packers play in Wisconsin, 36,174, witnessed the unexpected runaway. Despite advanced ballyhoo, plus the Pack gaudy 3-0 record and perfect weather, the attraction failed to approach or better the 40,199 for the Packers Colt Amici game here in 1955. The performance of the all-star-like team from Los Angeles made you wonder how they could ever lose a game. Well, they would not win a game for the rest of the season. It makes you it's like they won 45-6, and then they couldn't win a game the rest of the season. It's like, go figure. Yet the victory merely evened the Rams' record at 2-2, and of course set the Green Bay mark at a still fancy 3-1. The Packers are now in a three-way tie for first place, as you can see here. The 49ers, the Colts, and Packers. The Rams were 2-2, but they would, by the end of the season, they would be all the way down here, below the Lions. This game had an odd tinge right from the start when the Rams counted a safety on a blocked Max McGee punt. Then Jack Morris booted a field goal to make it a baseball-ish 5-0. The quarter ended 11-0 when the Rams scored on a Bill Wade to Del Schaffner pass and then fumbled the extra point. Thus, the Rams scored 3 different ways, but no extra point. Paul Hornung kicked 2 field goals, and Morris won in the second quarter to make it a mighty respectable 14-6 at the half. Big Ollie Matson started the Packers' skid with a scot-free 49-yard touchdown bolt midway in the third quarter. The Packer offense just couldn't keep the ball, and the Rams roared away with 24 points in the final quarter, as you can see here. Right? They scored 31 points in the second half, making it 45-6. Whew. Look here, we'll look at the stats here real fast. Total first down, 16, 23 for the Rams. Now, this is rather odd here because the Packers usually ran the ball, got their points, their yards and their first downs running the ball. To get 10 first downs via the pass is rather odd for a Vince Lombardi team. 117 yards rushing, maybe in nowadays game, is not too bad, but it was rather bad for the Packers back then. To have to throw 28 passes was not very good. I mean, you see how there were 16 out of 21, no interceptions, 464 yards. I mean, this is just total dominant. 258 yards rushing, 206 passing, 23 first downs. I mean, really fantastic game here by the Rams. Here we go. We got Matson here, gained 121 yards, 6 yards a carry. John Arnett, 6.5 yards a carry for John Arnett. I mean, the Packer defense had been very, very good, very stingy up to this point in time, but not in this game. Let's see. Taylor was injured, so Jim Taylor was not in. He had burned himself or been burnt. So he missed a little bit of time, so he was not in this game. So Hornung, he only got 54 yards. Carpenter got 31 yards. Butler, 16. McCann ran 3 times. Bart Starr was in there. Let's see, Green Bay. McCann was 13 out of 22. Starr attempted 5, completed 1 for 11 yards, had 1 intercepted. So, I mean, Bart Starr, he didn't come on like a house of fire. Let me tell you what. All right, where are we at here? Okay. The Rams scored 4 touchdowns and a field goal the last 5 times they had their hands on the ball. Wow. Starting with Matson's dash. The Packers' tackling was terrible, allowing Matson, John Arnett, and Tom Wilson a flying start through or around the line of scrimmage, a Packer trademark in the first 3 games. Oh, yeah, their defense was very, very tough, the Packers' first few games of the season. The Red Dog couldn't be worked, so tough was Wade's protection. Wade wasn't spilled all afternoon until Bill Forrester belted quarterback Frank Ryan for an 8-yard loss in the last few minutes. The Red Doggers were shut out. Packers yielded 464 yards, 258 by rushing, and 268 yards on passing. Green Bay's offense, limited to 276 yards, was hampered by penalties, drop passes, and poor blocking. There were 2 deep touchdown drives. Both were ruined by dropped Lamar McCann passes in the end zone. Early in the second quarter, Boyd Dowler dropped 7 points, bringing on Hornung's first field goal. With the score 28-6, the Packers made a big bid to make it 28-13 early in the fourth period. The TD drive was stalled 3 ways. McGee dropped McCann's throw in the end zone from the 21. Moments later, with second down on the Ram 2, the Packers were offside, moving it back to the 7. Then McCann's pass was intercepted in the end zone by Ed Meador. That's the way things were going. After Meador's interception, Wade hurled TD passes to Red Phillips for 53 yards and to Del Schaffner for 25 yards. And to top it off, Morris booted a 33-yard field goal, boosting it to 45-6 for no particular reason. Hornung was the object of the Rams' defensive guns. The Pack all around ace was hurt early but stuck it out to lead the club in ground gaining and pass catching. He ran 13 times for 54 yards. 4 yards a carry, not bad. He caught 5 passes for 58 yards. So he had 112 total yards. What's more, he scored all the points on field goals of 14 and 46 yards. Horning fumbled twice midway in the fourth quarter, the second time when Les Richter gave him an unnecessary head treatment. With Don McElhaney bothered by an injury from the 49er game, Horning and Lou, should be Carpenter, right, had to go the distance other than a brief shot for Billy Butler, who ripped up 16 yards in one trip in the last few minutes. Dowler served as the third back. Boyd Dowler. Because they had Knafolk and Max McGee were their starting wide receivers. So Boyd Dowler, I guess, was the emergency back, I guess, if needed. Bart Starr played the last 7 minutes and performed the oddity of the game, catching his own pass. So I think he was 1 for 5, and I guess his one completion was to himself. His throw was batted up by a Ram, and Bart caught it on the rebound and gained a yard. The Bay defense was hurt on the first play of the game when Jim Temp injured his shoulder. Temp had been working for injured Nate Borden. Ken Beck finished in Temp's spot, playing the second half. Then, just before the end, Ron Kramer injured an ankle and had to leave. The Packers couldn't get out of a hole in the first quarter. After the safety, McGee's free punt went only 29 yards. Wow. And the Rams charged the Packer 4. At this point, Matson was slammed back 11 yards in 2 plays, and after Wade passed Arnett to the 4, Mars' field goal try was blocked by Forrester, where the Rams could have had even more points. An offside penalty ruined the Bay offense, and the Rams started again from midfield. They reached the 23, where the defense stiffened, and Morris made it 5-0 on a 22-yard field goal. Five-yard loss for McCann trying to pass forced another punt, and the Rams were off again from midfield. Steady gains by Matson and Arnett, and Arnett's 14-yard pass to Leon Clark, who wasn't supposed to play because of an injury, sent the ball up for the Wade's TD pass to Schaffner. Bob Dylan had the ball intercepted on the 10, but Schaffner took it out of his hands and continued into the end zone. The fumbled pass going up. Fumbled pass back ruined the extra point on the last play of the first quarter. So that's why the Rams didn't get an extra point. Packers made their first down of the game on the first 3 plays of the second quarter. The Bays marched to the Rams 7, chiefly on Horning's 18-yard draw run, an 11-yard pass to McGee, and a 7 and 11-yard passes to Horning. With first down on the 12, Carpenter made 5 yards to the 7. McCain went to the air. McGee fell down on the goal line trying to field the pass, and Dowler dropped a 6-pointer on third down, bringing on the field goal. With Arnett romping 30 yards, the Rams pounded back to make it 14-3 on Morris's field goal from the 17, with 1:11 left in the half. But the Packers would score just before the half. 2 quick passes from McCann to Horning for 16 yards and Carpenter for 22 yards set up Horning's field goal from the 46 with 1 second left in the half. Schaffner and McGee each punted twice to start the third period with no first downs involved. The Packers started from their own 35 after the Bay defense forced Schaffner to punt the second time. Horning ripped up the middle for 12 yards to the 47, but the Bays were holding, and they had to start again from the 24. That hurt real bad. McGee had to punt, and it was almost blocked. On the Rams' first play, Matson slipped off right guard and took off untouched for a 49-yard touchdown run. Morris booted the first of 4 extra points, and it was 21-6 at 8:08 of the third. The Packers made 2 quick first downs. McCann throwing to Dowler for 12 yards and Gary Knafolk for 14 to the Packer 40. But McCann was thrown for an 8-yard loss trying to pass, and the punt was on. The Rams rolled 81 yards, chiefly on runs by Matson, Wilson, and Joe Marconi, and passes to Wilson to make it 28-6 on the first play of the fourth period, with Marconi plunging 1 yard on fourth down for the touchdown. The Packers, with 14 minutes left in the game, drove downfield after John Simak's 39-yard kickoff return. McCann hurled to Knafelp for 15. He ran 6 and then passed to Knafelp for another 10 to the Ram 27. On the pass, McGee blew in the all right, so let's let me see here. Well, we have to come back. We'll be coming back to this. On the pass that McGee blew in the I'll find another part of this article here. Nope. Well, that's certainly not it. Let's see here. I do apologize. Oh, okay. In the end zone. The Rams were nipped for roughing to the 14. Horning hit left end for 12 to the 2. The costly 5-yard penalty and an interception followed. The Rams, with 12 minutes left and the Packers' threat out of the way, went to work. They went 80 yards in 6 plays for a 35-6 lead, with Wade hurling to Phillips, who got behind Bobby Freeman for the touchdown. McCann passed to Horning for 18, but on the next play, Horning took McCann's pass for 5 and then fumbled. The Rams' Tom Frankhauser recovered, and they scored in 2 plays from the Packer 40. Arnett went 15, and then Wade hurled a touchdown strike to Del Schaffner, who got behind Dillon in the end zone. Horning fumbled on an end run, and the Rams had the ball on the Packer 32. With Ryan in a quarterback, the Rams moved to the Packer 17, from where Forrester smeared Ryan for an 8-yard pass. Probably sacked him for an 8-yard loss. For no particular reason, Morris kicked a field goal from the 33. 2 rookies came up with 16-yard plays in the final seconds. Butler went 16 around, and Starr hurled to A.D. Williams for the same distance to midfield. On the last play of the game, Frankhauser intercepted Starr's pass on the 50. So, not a good day at all for the Packers. A very good day if you're a Rams fan. Now, here we go. This is the field goal here. The final points of the board for the Packers. This field goal here made it 14-6. 1 second, 1 field goal. The final score of 45-6 doesn't show much need for a field goal, but this was a key boot for the Packers against the Rams on Sunday. Paul Horning is following through on a 45-yard field goal. So he says 45 here. Other part of the article said it was a 46-yard field goal. So it was a 45-yard field goal, 1 second left in the first half. This boot cut the Rams' lead to 14-6 at halftime. So it was still anybody's game. But holding the ball is Bart Starr. Say the ball got put down at the 45 or 46. There's Bart Starr. You got two Hall of Famers right here. You'll never see that nowadays. Never, ever, ever. Especially somebody booting it straight on, too. All right, then we got, let's see, got a bunch of, here we go. Bunch of pictures here. Here's McCann. Got some decent protection here. Warning, trying to, little pass protection here. But, so we got aerial survey. Packer quarterback Lamar McCann cast about for target early in the fourth quarter. With Packers trailing 28-6, he is afforded sturdy protection by Luke Carpenter, Norm Masters, Fuzzy Thurston, partially obscured, Jim Ringo, and Paul Hornung. Representing the enemy, Bill Jopko, Lou Michaels, Bob Fry, and Jack Pardee. Jack Pardee played a long time. Well, I'll tell you. All right, we got here. What do we got here? Clutch stop. Packers' Bob Dylan puts clamps on John Arnett to avert a touchdown in the Rams' opening drive in the first quarter. Arnett was finally brought to earth on the Packer 4-yard line following an 11-yard gain on a screen pass from Bill Wade. Packers rushing to assist are Bill Quinlan, Dave Hanner. The Ram at left is Alex Lansford. Bringing him down. Right there. Whirl away, Ollie Matson. Rams workhorse wheels away from last Packer pursuer Jesse Whittington on a 49-yard ramble to the Rams' second touchdown in the third quarter. Touchdown bound. Rams, Jim Phillips, accompanied by official, is en route to the Rams' fourth touchdown with 8:51 left in the fourth quarter. The play was a pass run from Bill Wade, covered 53 yards. Off and running. There he goes. There goes Vince Lombardi walking off after his first defeat. It's a long walk. Packer coach Vince Lombardi takes a long, melancholy walk to the dressing room minutes after the final gun told Packers' first defeat of the season. Oh, yeah. He's like, oh, boy. We got to go back to the drawing board there. Yeah, Paul Hornung here. Looks like maybe a little Packer sweep action kind of going on there. Flight that failed. The situation looked promising as Paul Hornung set sail on a sweep right end on the Packers' opening offensive series in the first quarter, but he was held to only 2 yards on a 3rd down and 3 effort, and Packers were forced to punt. That looked promising. And then what do we got here? Far enough. Jesse Whittington, Packer cornerback, zeroes in on the Rams' John Arnett in the first quarter, grounding the Los Angeles Ace after a 13-yard gain to the Packer 30. Then it said Packers shortly blocked the Ram field goal attempt. So, they got down. Rams were marching, but they didn't score on this particular drive. Let's see here. Let me, there we go. I like this here. Our best performance, Sid Gilman. Packers played a bit of a flat game, Lombardi said. I'd say so. All right. This was our best performance, no doubt about it. It was a large statement considering his Hollywood heroes had bearded Chicago's title-hungry Bears in their own Wrigley Field den a week earlier. No mean feat for any year. But swarthy Sid Gilman was aglow over the Los Angeles Rams thumping 45-6 conquest of the Packers here Sunday afternoon. We had a great team effort today. A tremendous team effort, Sid enthused. This was our best performance. No doubt about it, our best overall performance. Seldom as effusive in the wake of any previous victory over Green Bay's football forces, perhaps because this one at least temporarily eliminated a growing threat to his job security. Gilman further volunteered. Well, I guess maybe at this particular point in time, but Sid Gilman would not be the head coach. Bob Waterfield would be the coach for the Rams in 1960. So you start 2-2, and then you lose the last 8 games of the season. He wasn't around the next year. With a fine quarterback, Bill Wade operating a fine offensive team and a great defensive team, you're bound to win. Wade had agreed, had never looked better. This was one of Bill's greatest games, Sid declared. He made no mistakes. He made no mistakes. Insisting he hadn't expected the day to go so well for his minions, Gilman dismissed the lopsided score with a shrug of the shoulders. That's the way the league is, he said. You never know. What incidentally about the opposition, the Packers have been up to this point one of the finest football teams we've looked at, was the considered and diplomatic reply. It's a good balanced team, offensively and defensively. Speaking of defense, somebody mentioned Bill Forrester had blocked the Rams' initial field goal attempt in the first quarter. That Forrester's a hell of a football player, Sid said with a shake of the head. Boy, he's a good one. When had he felt the Rams had it? I never felt we had it until the middle of the fourth quarter. He shot back. There's no such thing as a feeling of prosperity in this game. Anytime you get feeling prosperous, you're looking for trouble. The fall from the penthouse to the basement is a short one indeed, he said wryly. After the climb to the penthouse is a rough one. And the climb to the penthouse is a rough one. Continuing in this vein, he asserted, the test for any team in this league is to win on the road. If you win on the road, the Rams now have won 2 straight on tour and return to Los Angeles for 3 straight home appearances. You've got it made. No, not really. They won 2 games on the road and they didn't win a game at all at home all season. They were 0-6. So, as this was said, Ram guard Dwayne Putnam strolled by in a brown tweed suit en route to the club's airport-bound bus with sportscaster Elroy Hirsch. Crazy legs. I'm going to wear my tweeds next Sunday, said Putnam with a grin. You do that, Put? Gilman chuckled. Packers Vince Lombardi, after the luxury of 3 spectacular efforts in a row, was forced to concede that we played a bit of a flat game. Vince, taking the defeat philosophically, pointed out we played a real top-flight football team, the best we played this year, and we played a bit of a flat game. The Rams are a good football team, and they had a hot day. He pinpointed that earlier fourth quarter failure from the 1-yard line as the crack of the doom for the Packers' hopes. If we had scored then, he observed, the score would have been 28-13. Not only would have kept us in there, but would have given us a little fire, which we needed, but still would have been, 3 scores down. Noting we also stopped ourselves a lot of times with offsides and other penalties, Vince pointed out. They had us in the hole in the first quarter and we couldn't get out. But we've got no excuses, he rapped. We just got beat. One thing, though, which I don't feel is an alibi, we played the game with 2 backs, Warning and Carpenter. McElhaney has a bad shoulder and wasn't even able for kickoff returns. Any casualties today? Ron Kramer hurt his right ankle. He's the only one, Vince replied. We actually should be better shape next week than we were this week because McElhaney will be back. Why the flat performance? I don't know. I just think we were extremely tense today for some reason. It's hard to understand because it was our 4th game, so it shouldn't have made any difference. Vince, however, could see no reason why they shouldn't bounce back, and they damn well better. Had he been perturbed by the one-sided score? No, he said with a half smile. It makes no difference when you lose 1 point or 100. This matter of bouncing back was the dominant theme in the Packer dressing room where Lombardi's unhappy Warriors were ready to charge up what had happened to bitter experience. One such was quarterback Lamar McCann. Everything we did was wrong, said in a low voice. All we can do is try to come back. The Rams' rush, which appeared ferocious from the sidelines, wasn't too bad, McCann said. Just made too many mental mistakes. I didn't think, he added with a sigh, we'd get beat like that. Defensive ace Tom Bettis, supremely disgusted, also was inclined to write off the afternoon's embarrassment. We were flatter than a pancake. The sturdy Purdue alumni muttered, we'll just have to bounce back. It was just a flat game all around. A weary Bobby Dillon was still shaking his head over Del Shopner's touchdown steal in the first quarter. We were both going for it, and he took it away from me, Bobby said. I had my hands on the ball, but he took it. Bill Forrester, the veteran defensive captain, was mum. of necessity on his breakthrough to block that first period field goal. We play him again in December, so I'd better not talk about it, he said, although they'll probably catch it in the movies. I almost got it there a couple other times. Assessing the causes of defeat, Bill added, our tackling was off. Big Jim Temp, it developed, played most of the game with a bad shoulder. Temp, who admitted it hurts pretty bad right now, revealed, I hurt it tackling Matson on my first play of the game on the punt. Workhorse Paul Horning also was nursing some wounds. I got a rib cracked, and my neck jammed, but I can't complain. Paul said philosophically, I feel a lot better than I did last week about the injuries. We played a real bad ball game, couldn't do anything right. They got us in a hole, and we couldn't get out. But he asserted, we'll come back, we'd better. Ruddy Mountainous Hog Hanner had his own theory of the Packers' downfall. When Matson got away in the third quarter, giving the Rams a 21-6 lead, it broke our backs, he said soberly. On this tack, he added, they're going to wear that Matson out, the way they've been working him. He won't last the season. Ollie's getting a big salary, no doubt, but they're getting their money's worth. In memoriam. There you go. Dominic Olejniczak, president of the Packers, paid tribute to the late Bert Bell, National Football League commissioner, in a brief ceremony before the game. He had passed away the week before, watching an Pittsburgh Steelers game. Professional football, indeed, the entire world of the athletics, mourns the passing of Bert Bell. With his forcefulness, firmness, and fairness, he did much to make pro football the great game that it is. I invite you to join me in a moment of silent tribute to his memory. He's a very, very popular commissioner. Very, very popular. All right, so now I got coming up on an hour here. Oh my goodness, these articles sometimes are so long. Let me see. What I got? Okay, Los Angeles Times here. So let's go to, if I can find it here, the October 19th edition of the Los Angeles Times. Okay, Wade and Matson spark Ram rout 45-6. What do we got here? In his grasp, Ram Mandel Shopner snatches the ball away from Bobby Dillon on a pass from Billy Wade and rambles 26 yards to score in the first quarter as the Rams romp to a 45-6 victory. So this is the play they're talking about. Right, two guys both had their hands on the ball. Del Shopner winds up coming away with it and running into the end zone for a score. So it wouldn't have made much of a difference, probably, but you never know. But was it Dillon? Is that what it was? Yeah, Bobby Dillon here said he had both hands on the ball, and shot the wound up ripping it away. But Dillon had secured it and intercepted the pass that would have taken some points off the board. That would have took 6 points off the board for him. So. Would have been, what the heck would have been? Would have been what? 8-6 at the half, I guess. Here we go. Oops. Let me refresh the page here. All right, here we go. There's Ollie Matson. Strong, big, strong. Slippery guy. Ram Ollie Matson slips away from Packer Ken Beck, number 73, and is off on one of his many long jaunts. He gained 121 yards on 20 attempts. And you can see here how they scored. I mean, Rams got 2 points on the safety, then they got a field goal, then they got a touchdown with no extra point. Then Horning kicked the field goal. Then the Rams kicked the field goal. Then Horning kicked this 46-yard field goal. So had Dylan been able to rip that ball away and not allow Schaffner to score a touchdown, it would have been 8-6 at the halftime. Now, once again, would it have mattered? You don't know. In the third quarter, one touchdown. So it went from, it was still kind of anybody's game. So it went from 14-6 to 21-6 after the third quarter. But then you can see right here, I mean, they got a touchdown here, then they got another touchdown here. Then they got another touchdown here. Then they got a field goal. So they're up 42-6, and they wound up kicking a field goal. So, all right. Los Angeles hands the Packers a first loss before 36,174 fans. Milwaukee. Exploding with their finest offensive effort of the season, the Los Angeles Rams ruined Green Bay's perfect record here today as they romped to a smashing 45-6 victory before a county stadium crowd of 36,174. Everyone got into the act for Los Angeles, but the spotlighted star once again was Ollie Matson. The great fullback was handed the ball 20 times and gained 121 yards, including one touchdown jaunt of 49 yards through the right guard. Ollie picked up 19 additional yards, catching 3 of quarterback Bill Wade's passes. The Packers, who stormed into combat with a 3-0 record until today, had the best defensive record in the NFL. But this, along with other hopes, was wiped out as the Rams tallied in every period. In addition to Matson, other touchdown contributors were Del Schaffner, who scored twice, Jim Phillips, and Joe Marconi. Jack Morris pitched in with 13 points on 3 field goals and 4 conversions. Rookie end Sam Williams opened the point parade by blocking Max McGee's first punt early in the game, the ball rolling into the end zone for a safety. For the first time this season, the Rams defense refused to give up a touchdown. Green Bay's points came as a result of 2 field goals off the toe of Paul Horning. Packers threatened a couple of times, but each time they were turned back by rookie halfback Ed Meador. Once he broke up an end zone pass intended for McGee. Later, he made a diving interception of a pass intended for the same Packer, also in the end zone. Rams explode. Leading 14-6 at intermission, the Rams turned the second half into a nightmare for the partisan Packer fans. LA tallied once in the third and then opened the flood gate for 24 more points in the final period. 2 Packer fumbles, one recovered by rookie defensive halfback Tom Frankhauser, the other by safety man Clendon Thomas, led to a pair of final quarter goals. For the second week running, the Rams' defense was superb. On the ground, Green Bay was held to 117 yards. In the air, the Packers totaled 159 yards. This latter figure is remarkable considering that Los Angeles played with its 2 regular safety men, Will Sherman and Don Burrows, sidelined with injuries and illness. Fitting rewards. It was fitting that 2 members of the defense, Lou Michaels and Les Richter, were awarded game balls by appreciative teammates. As was the case a week ago against the Bears, Coach Sid Gilman allowed his quarterbacks to call their own plays. And the signals Wade selected must have been on the finest considering the final score. Wade had an excellent afternoon throwing the ball. He passed 18 times, completed 13 for 186 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's a great game. He was given tremendous protection by tackles Charlie Bradshaw and Bob Fry. In addition to Matson, John Arnett, and Tom Wilson also contributed heavily to the rushing game. Arnett took off 11 times, gained 72 yards. One of his runs went for 30 yards. When Arnett was shaken up a bit in the third quarter, Wilson came into play a key role in a touchdown march. Once on a screen pass from Wade, Wilson tore through the enemy for 20 yards. Later on a pitch out, he went for 29. Altogether, Wilson handled the ball 6 times on rushes to gain 53 yards. Guards get praise. Any mention of the Rams' running game wouldn't be complete without handing out a few posies for for some outstanding blocking. Guards Dwayne Putnam and Buck Lansford were mowing down Packers all over the field. It was the hole Lansford and Bradshaw opened that allowed Matson to get away on his 46-yard touchdown run. Whereas the Rams had a full cast of stars, the Packers were limited to only a few headliners. Horning was the backfield work. Is there anything else? All right, backfield work. Nothing here. Backfield workhorse. All right, what do we got here? Nope. That's not them. That's the Browns. But this might be this game, but all right. He carried the ball 13 times for 54 yards. Paul Horning. Quarterback Lamar McCann passed 22 times and completed 13 for 148 yards. Many of his throws were on the hasty variety. He found it going tough with the likes of Lamar Lundy, Michaels, John Baker, and John Lovetier charging in on him. Scoring resembled a baseball game rather than football in the opening quarter. Once the count was 2-0, and then 5-0, and then 11-0 at the end of the period. After the Rams got their safety, they roared right back. Matson returned a punt 20 yards to the Packers' 40. 8 plays later, the ball was on the 4. First and goal to go. At this point, things got a little fouled up, and Richter was called in to attempt a field goal from the 11. The try was blocked by linebacker Bill Forrester. Minutes later, the Rams were back knocking again. They got down to the 15, where once again they were stalled. This time, Mars was nominated to try a field goal. He made good from 22 yards. With 1 second remaining in the quarter, the Rams finally managed their first touchdown. Wade threw 26 yards to Schaffner, who grabbed the ball away from Packer halfback Bobby Dillon on the 10. Dell went the rest of the way unmolested. Mars' try for extra point was no good when his holder, Meador, juggled the pass from center. It wasn't until early in the second quarter that Green Bay was credited with a first down. They went from their own 20 to the Rams' 8. Here, Horning booted his first field goal from the 14. Later in the same period, Mars kicked his second three-pointer, this one from the 17. Only a single second remained in the half when Horning again was called to try a field goal. He was on the target from 46 yards out. It was still a ball game that might go either way until midway in the third when Matson cut loose on that 49-yard touchdown run. This bit of fireworks seemed to take something out of the Packers. They made only one more threat after this. Late in the third, the Rams launched a drive starting from their own 19. With Wilson in the starring role, they went 81 yards in 12 plays, culminating by Marconi's head-first dive through the middle of the on the initial play of the last quarter. Packers, after John Simak had returned a kickoff 39 yards out to the 41, tried once more to put together a touchdown combination. The effort was commendable, but short. They got down to the 2, and then they were penalized back to the 7. Meador's interception blasted their hopes. Then Wade hits Phillips. Los Angeles took over, and 6 plays went 80 yards. Payoff was Wade's 47-yard pass to Phillips. Frankhauser's recovery of Horning's fumble on the Packers' 49 put L.A. in the scoring position again. On the second play, Wade threw 25 yards to Del Schaffner, who grabbed the ball in the end zone. Bart Starr then replaced McCann at quarterback for the desperate Packers. On a pass to Horning, the latter picked up 12 yards and then fumbled. Thomas recovered, and 7 plays later, Morris was in position to kick his 35-yard field goal. Well, I thought it said 33-yard field goal. So it just goes to show you it's a little weird. I mean, because how the numbers can differ a little bit, from one page to the next, or from one news article to the next. It's it's just the way things are. It's just the numbers all a little funky. But that was certainly an eye-opening for Vince Lombardi and the Packers. Now, both these teams, I mean, the Packers would go on to lose their next 4 games before they would right the ship. But this was it for Sid Gilman. This is it for the Rams. This was their final, 4 games into the season. Rams were 2-2. This would be their final win of the season. They would wind up losing their final 8 games. They wouldn't win 1 game at all at home, right? But they did win 2 games on the road. They beat the Bears on the road, no easy task, and they would beat the Green Bay Packers and Vince Lombardi on the road at County Stadium in Milwaukee, giving Vince Lombardi his first taste of defeat ever in the NFL. So that's the way it was on this date, October 18th, 1959, between the Los Angeles Rams and the Green Bay Packers at County Stadium in pro football's first 50 years. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.